Long ago, in a vast and powerful kingdom, there ruled a king whose name was spoken with both respect and fear. But before we begin, imagine this. A king so ruthless that a single mistake could cost someone their life. A palace where 4 savage dogs were used as a deadly punishment, and a loyal minister who was thrown to those same dogs, expected to die within seconds. But when the beasts ran toward him, something unbelievable happened. They didn't attack. Instead, they sat quietly at his feet. Why would the most dangerous animals in the kingdom spare his life? The answer reveals a powerful lesson about loyalty, kindness, and human nature. Now, let's begin the story. Long ago, in a vast and powerful kingdom, there ruled a king whose name was spoken with both respect and fear. His name was King Sikandar Shah. His empire stretched across mountains, rivers, fertile plains, and crowded cities. Thousands of people lived under his rule, and from the outside, the kingdom appeared magnificent. The royal palace stood high above the capital city. Tall marble towers shimmered in the sunlight, golden banners hung from the palace walls, and soldiers guarded every entrance. Inside the palace were grand halls, jeweled chandeliers, and floors made of polished stone. To visitors, it looked like a place of beauty and power. But those who lived inside the palace knew something far more troubling about their ruler. King Sikandar Shah had a terrifying habit. He loved keeping extremely dangerous dogs. These were not ordinary hunting animals or palace guards. The king kept 4 massive wild dogs, trained only for violence. Their bodies were enormous. Their teeth were sharp as blades. Their eyes glowed like burning coals in the dark. Even the bravest soldiers felt uneasy walking past the place where the dogs were kept. The animals lived in a large stone enclosure inside the palace courtyard. Heavy iron chains held them in place. Thick wooden gates surrounded their prison. Whenever they growled, the sound echoed across the palace like distant thunder. But the king did not keep them for protection. He kept them for punishment. Whenever someone in the royal court made even the smallest mistake, the king's temper exploded. If a servant dropped a plate, if a soldier hesitated before obeying an order, or if a courtier spoke words the king did not like, King Sikandar Shah would slam his hand against the throne and shout the same terrifying command. "Throw him to the dogs." The guards would immediately seize the unlucky person. They dragged him across the courtyard. The moment the heavy gate opened, the dogs would explode with rage. Chains rattled. Teeth snapped. Growls filled the air. Very few people ever survived. Because of this cruel tradition, fear ruled the palace. Servants walked carefully. Soldiers obeyed instantly. Advisors chose every word with extreme caution. No one wanted to anger the king. But among all the people in the royal court, there was one man who was different. His name was Minister Hamiduddin. Hamiduddin was known throughout the kingdom for his wisdom, but more importantly, he was known for his kindness. He believed that a kingdom should be ruled with justice and compassion, not fear. Whenever citizens came to the palace seeking help, Hamiduddin listened carefully. He solved disputes peacefully. He treated servants with respect. He spoke gently to soldiers, and whenever poor families needed help, he tried his best to assist them. Because of this, the people loved him. Many even whispered something dangerous. They said that if Hamiduddin ruled the kingdom, life would be much better. But admiration often brings jealousy, and inside the royal court, jealousy could be deadly. Several courtiers disliked the minister because of his influence. Among them was one man more ambitious than the rest. His name was Qasim. Qasim was clever. He was charming, and he was extremely dangerous. He always wore expensive robes and spoke politely, but behind his smile hid a mind full of ambition. For years, Qasim had wanted to become the king's chief advisor, but as long as Hamiduddin remained in the king's favor, that dream was impossible. So Qasim waited, patiently, silently, for the perfect moment to destroy him. And one afternoon, that moment finally arrived. The king had gathered his advisors in the great hall. Recent wars had drained the kingdom's treasury, and the king wanted to refill it quickly. His solution was simple: increase taxes. Many courtiers immediately agreed. They praised the king. He said they loudly, but Minister Hamiduddin remained silent for a moment. Finally, He stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Your Majesty, beside calmly raising taxes too much may cause great suffering among the people. Many families are already struggling after the war. The whole fell silent. No one else had dared question the king. King Sikandar Shah slowly leaned forward. His eyes narrowed. He did not like disagreement, and Qasim saw his chance. He stepped forward slowly. Your Majesty, Qasim said politely. Perhaps the minister does not fully trust your judgment. The word spread through the hall like poison. The king's face darkened instantly. What did you say? Demanded. Qasim lowered his head. I mean, no disrespect, Your Majesty, but speaking against your decision in public might encourage others to question the throne. Now the king's temper exploded. He rose from his throne. Guards! He roared. Soldiers rushed forward. Arrest the minister! Gasps filled the hall. The guards surrounded Hamidat, but the minister did not resist. He allowed them to take him away quietly. That night, Hamiduddin sat alone in a cold prison cell beneath the palace. The stone walls were damp. A torch flickered outside the iron bars, and in the distance, he could hear the growls of the king's dogs. He knew what might happen next, yet he did not panic. Instead, he began to think. Wisdom had always been his greatest strength. The next morning, Hamiduddin asked the guards to bring an old palace worker named Karim. Karim was responsible for feeding the kings for deadly dogs. When the old man arrived, he looked worried. My lord, Karim whispered. I'm sorry to see you here. Hamiduddin smiled calmly. Karim, I need your help. The old man nodded. Anything, my lord? The minister leaned closer to the bars. For a few days, he said quietly, I want to feed the dogs. Karim's eyes widened in shock. My lord, that is extremely dangerous. I know, the minister replied, but I must try. After a long moment, Karim agreed, and from that day forward, something very unusual began happening inside the palace. Every morning, under God's supervision, Hamiduddin entered the courtyard. The moment the dogs saw him, they exploded with furious barking. Chains clanged loudly. Their teeth snapped in the air, but the minister did not run. He calmly placed fresh meat on the ground, then stepped back. The dogs devoured the food. The next day he returned, and the next, week after week, month after month. Gradually, something changed. The dogs stopped barking when he arrived. Then they stopped lunging at their chains. One day, one of them took meat directly from his hand. Soon, the others followed. Eventually, the animals began wagging their tails when they saw him. The same beasts that terrified the palace now trusted him. But far away in the royal court, Qasim was still whispering poison into the king's ears. And one day, the king finally lost patience. Bring the minister, he ordered. Within minutes, Hamiduddin stood once again before the throne. The king glared at him. You questioned my authority? Said coldly. Hamiduddin bowed. I only spoke for the people, Your Majesty. But the king had already decided. Throw him to the dogs. The court gasped. Guards dragged the minister across the courtyard. The heavy gate opened. The dogs roared with excitement. Hamiduddin was pushed inside. The gate slammed shut. The animals charged toward him. People covered their eyes. Everyone expected the worst. But then something strange happened. The first dog slowed down. It sniffed the air. Its tail twitched. The second dog approached more cautiously. The third stopped growling. And within seconds, all four animals surrounded the minister peacefully. One wagged its tail. Another licked his hand. The crowd outside froze in shock. These same dogs had killed many people. Yet now they behaved like loyal companions. When the king arrived and saw the scene, he could not believe his eyes. How is this possible? He demanded. Hamiduddin bowed respectfully. Your Majesty. Esai Chenti, I served you loyally for many years. The hall was silent, but after one disagreement, you were ready to send me to my death. Then he pointed toward the courtyard. Those animals, he continued, I cared for them only a few months. I fed them, I treated them with kindness. And today, they returned that kindness with loyalty. The words echoed through the hall. For the first time in a long time, the king felt shame. He slowly stood. From this day forward, he announced, no one will ever be thrown to the dogs again. Relief spread across the court. Then the king looked at the minister. I was wrong, he said quietly. I ask your forgiveness. Hamid-ad-Din bowed. I have always served the kingdom, your majesty. And from that day onward, the kingdom slowly changed. The cruel punishment disappeared. The king began listening to wiser advice, and Minister Hamid-ad-Din continued guiding the kingdom with fairness and compassion. Years later, people still told the story of the day when 4 savage dogs showed more loyalty than a king. And the lesson was never forgotten. Kindness is never wasted. Even the fiercest hearts can recognize compassion. If this story touched you, take a moment to hit the like button. Tell us in the comments what lesson you learned from this story. And if you enjoy powerful stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because sometimes, a simple story can carry a lesson that lasts a lifetime.